Welcome to the Shaman Mic Show, exclusively here on seemybeach.com. As you can see, I have Annie Williams with me again. I'll introduce Annie. Hello, Annie, and welcome again, the guardian of the crystal bowls, Tibetan Bowls and Bells. And we were so flabbergasted with the response we had from the public of our last show, where Annie demonstrated the Tibetan bells and bowls. And we certainly was thrilled with the acceptance of inner peace. Is what the basis of that show was about. Today, Annie's going to demonstrate and show us a little bit of different aspects of the Tibetan bells and bowls, and she's going to do a therapeutic treatment on me using the bells and bowls. So let's talk a little bit about that, Annie. Go right ahead.
Okay,
tell us what we have here.
Sure, Mick. I just have a few bowls that I pulled out for today, and I wanted to show you that there's a lot of difference when you're sounding the bowls, especially for therapeutic use, with the type of mallet you use. I mean, who would think that?
Right, I know, I didn't even think that. I've been using them for years, but for the last show I saw what you were doing. So let me just show you a little bit of difference. This is just a wand that normally we would use as a crystal bowl. Nice, mellow sound. Normally these come, when you buy them, with a wooden mallet, but I usually put a piece of felt around them. I actually just sew the felt, sew the felt on, and you still get a nice mellow sound, very similar to what you would get with a wand. Right. But if you use just the wooden part, listen to this. That's a whole different vibrational frequency.
Right.
Wow,
so you can see with the felt, you get the lower tones. Right. With the harder wood, you get the higher frequencies.
Wow.
Also, whenever you strike it, or you can actually take a wand and go around the rim, which will bring up the tone as well. Right. These are considered a yin-yang, male-female. This is the female portion. This is the male portion. Normally, you would use the bowl in your left hand and the wand in your right hand. However, you know, if you're left-handed, it doesn't really matter, but that's normal.
Actually, that certainly makes perfect sense, because in our beings, our left side is the feminine and the right side is the male. Right.
So you can see if I use a wooden, this is like for a bass drum.
That's a whole different sound.
So and that's just a different hardness.
Right.
And obviously, whenever you're using bigger bowls, you're wanting your deeper sounds.
Oh, yeah.
So my recommendation is everybody gets some mallets that are different kinds of mallets if you're going to use them therapeutically, or even if you're playing them, because in concerts, you know, you can get different sounds. And then this is a little higher pitch, it's a little softer, but it's not as big. But do you feel and see the difference in the tones whenever I use just different mallets? And then, of course, my least favorite. But if you want higher pitch, that's fine. But these kinds of wands are what bring the sounds up whenever you run the wand around the rim.
Right.
You hear the difference? You hear all the different overtones and frequencies?
I
and you can probably feel it differently in your body. This way versus this way versus the different kinds of mallets. So I just wanted to show you and demonstrate to you that just because you have one bowl and one mallet, you can do multiple things with multiple mallets with just one bowl.
I just learned that now. It puts a whole new meaning to my Tibetan bowl rather at home.
So you don't have to have 40 bowls like I do. You can have one. So.
Another question that comes to mind after working with you in the last show, you have such an array of crystal Tibetan bowls. Right. How long did it take you to acquire all of those?
About 12 years.
How long have you been the guardian of the bowls?
About 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually started with one crystal and one Tibetan. And I heard a Tibetan bell, or bowl, and I knew immediately it was going to be my path. I just fell in love with these little critters. And they have a mind of their own. And what I normally do is I tune them with a tuning fork, or a tuner, like a guitar tuner, and get a predominant note with a general mallet, and then it tells me kind of where we're going to start if we're going to use it therapeutically.
Now, that being said, I know that the bowls themselves usually vibrate to one note.
Not
like
these.
one is an F or a B.
No, not these.
Really?
They have a mind of their own. They have a predominant note and a lot of overtones. But depending on whether or not you've been playing several bowls together, they start doing something called entrainment.
Entrainment.
That's when they start doing harmonics together. And it's like working with an orchestra.
Right.
When you're the orchestra conductor and you start working with multiple bowls, then you're going to be orchestrating sound.
Right.
So I always recommend, even though you maybe have tuned, and I've tuned all of my bowls, and I usually put a little something inside which tells what the predominant note is. And, excuse me, but every time I use the bowls, I take out the tuner and I retune them because they will change a note. And they may change a half pitch here or there, or maybe even a whole pitch depending on what you're playing.
Right.
And what you've been using them with. And then if I'm going to put them on you, I guess you notice this dropped off. To keep it from sliding on the body, I get this stuff that you buy at the hardware store for lining shelves. It's just rubbery stuff, and I cut them in circles.
That sticks
and then
in
it keeps it from sliding. Otherwise, if I put it on there, you know.
I know, I've done that with clients.
Yeah.
And the bowl keeps sliding, so now I know what to do for that.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
I recommend, I just cut little pieces, and I have them in different sizes.
Very cool. Very cool.
So you want the sound session?
I'm excited, and I certainly can use one. I've got a lot of emotional issues going on at the moment that is showing up in my sciatic, and this, I'll let you know after the treatment how well it feels. It'll certainly be helpful. So we're going to break away for a minute and set it up so I can get on the table and get a treatment. Thank you so much, Annie.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we're back, and I'm on the table, as you can see, and Annie is going to tell you about the treatment that I'm going to receive and help align me so my sciatic is in alignment and not in the pain I've been in.
That's a big order, Mick. Okay, normally whenever I would start a sound session, I would ask someone to set an intention. And I understand from Mick right now that his intention is to relieve his sciatic pain. Is that correct, Mick?
Yes.
All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to scan his body. I'm going to work with only the bowls that I've pulled out today. And intuitively I have felt that these would be the correct ones for Mick today. And a lot of what I do is intuition. You know by the sound, and you know by the feel, and you know by your gut feeling. Or however I explain intuition. We're going to be working with the body, and at the very end of this little session, I'm going to hit the tingshaws one time, and then we're going to let the sound die on its own, and we're going to be in silence for about 30 seconds. So that's part of the treatment. Anytime you do a sound treatment, you really need to end in silence because that's where the integration takes place. Are you ready, Mick?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get started.
Please.
All right, take a couple of deep breaths in. And relax. And with your intention focused, and blow out your breath.
Wow, you probably see the expression on my face because I can feel it throughout my whole being vibrating. And I'll tell you, I really have a whole sense of how the bells, the bowls you used were resonating with me in different ways. It was so powerful. I'm so connected with it now. Usually in sessions I use the Tibetan bowls on clients, but I never got this end of it, and this is awesome. Very powerful and very helpful.
Okay, just relax. And is it possible for us to break away for a minute so we can get Mick back on his feet?
Well, I'm back on this planet, and that was quite a journey, I'll say, to say the least. Now, I know in doing private sessions and shamanic work, like I said, I use the bowls on people, and I feel that I'm being helped as well as they are. But to have it to be recipient of it is a whole different trip. It really is.
Oh, it really is. Because I don't feel like I'm a healer. I'm a facilitator. Your body knows what it needs. And so when I give it some tools to work with, then you take and run with them. But while I'm giving you the tools, I'm benefiting also as the facilitator of the session. So I think it's a win-win for both of us.
I agree, and that's what life's about at this point in consciousness. No more I gain, you lose, you gain, I win, and I lose. No more of that. It's all win-win situations, which is what we're about here on seemybeach.com. That's why Rick and I work so well together, and the people that I have on my show work so well together, because it's about sharing and evolving and opening up to all of who we are, doing it together. So it's a win-win situation as well, which is perfect for what we're presenting. I want to thank you again, Annie, for being with us. It's been phenomenal, and I tell you, I do feel it. I feel a difference. Very good. Very good.
Drink lots of water.
I always drink lots of water. We always recommend drinking lots of water at all times, especially after any type of treatment.
And remember, with sound, you must end in silence. So you need a little bit of silence after the sound for the integration to take place.
Makes perfect sense to me, and I certainly experienced that. And I'll tell you, there's going to be some response to this, Annie. People are going to want sessions. First of all, how long does a full session last, usually?
I would think 45 minutes to an hour, and it could go as long as an hour and a half.
Oh, that would be an hour and a half of complete heaven, I'll tell you that. And anybody wants to get in touch with Annie, at this point you could email me here on seemybeach.com on my email, and we will pass it on to Annie, because I'm sure you're going to be getting some response to this.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're going to have Annie back again at another show in the future, because we spoke in the first show about the Tibetan Bowls and Bells and the crystal bowls. And we have yet to see a crystal ball, so we're going to get a concert out of Annie with the crystal balls, which is phenomenal. So we'll be seeing Annie again if you were gracious with your presence.
I would love that.
Thank you very much, Annie, for being on the show again. That's it for this show. We'll look forward to hearing from you again. Like we said, we encourage emails. We get so much response, and it helps us to put together different shows and give an idea of what you're looking for. Bless you. Be well.